You've got a helpful cutout and keep list of the players that Man United need to give a go to.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
these 8 players. You've given us 8 players, so I'll list them off.
You list them, yeah, because
no particular order: Matic, Jones, Rojo, Young, Herrera, Fellaini, Sanchez, and Lukaku.
Yeah, not Pogba, which would be the natural one you would have thought in some ways, but I'd still firmly believe that he should be kept and made a central part of what comes next.
Let's see what we have.
He hasn't played under someone else in this second incarnation as a Manchester United player, and it's only 6 months since he was a dominant player in a World Cup. And even we see behind the scenes stuff which is very different to the Instagram sort of fool. You know, that we're sort of. That has definitely damaged his reputation in a serious way in the last couple of months, you know, and
why is that? What's in particular has he posted that's made?
I don't know. I think I think sort of. I know this is the way that footballers are now, and there is this sort of po-faced element sometimes of I look at them now on their social media or stuff like that. But the club's going through a particularly bad patch, and he's not playing. He hasn't been playing in the team at all, and there has to be an element of pride about like how you present yourself, and there's the element of, well, I need to knuckle down at this point, and the stuff at the weekend, the sort of mucking about with Jesse Lingard about his birthday, like he's the best player at the club, or the highest profile player at the club, probably the best player at the club, and he's not playing at the moment. Like, this is the time to be away from the limelight, to not be drawing attention to yourself. And I know the brand is all powerful. I know to an extent that's a big part of why Manchester United actually signed him. So there's a sort of certain hypocrisy of chipping away on even the sponsored posts or whatever it might be when he is such a massive brand and a massive sort of asset to them. And it's probably one of the main reasons for keeping him, although I hear Andy Minton speaking that he could be gone too almost regardless of this. But I think you still have to give him a chance. And I think if a new manager is going to come in, you know, in the summer really, in terms of the real manager who makes these decisions.
Yeah.
And they're going to sit down and they're going to say, well, we need these 5, 6, 7 elite players or whatever it might be, or is it less, is it fewer players, the challenge. Yeah, you have one there. Like, you have one there who is in that bracket that if he was somewhere else, he'd be on your list to get him. So once you have him there, I think you keep him and you give him a chance. I mean, it's an expensive business to get rid of him anyway, although I assume he still will have takers, which of itself shows he still has a value. Whereas it's going to be harder when some of the other players that I mentioned, the likes of Alexis Sanchez, who's on this deal between 350 grand to 500 grand if you, I think, kick in all the image rights and appearances and stuff like that. And he looks a bit of a beaten docket. Like, how do you get rid of someone like that?
You send him on loan and hope that he has a good 6 months?
That's what I would think, you know.
Somewhere in the Bundesliga, like.
Well, he'd love to go to Paris. That's the reports coming out from his. Now, I don't know where he fits in even there at the moment, but there is, you know, you would think someone will take a pop at him. But he's going to be difficult to move. I would argue Lukaku, going forward, longer term, is he like your number 9 as a really top team? You know, a title-winning team. He's probably just not a good enough all-round player for that, and that's a difficult one because he's on a good deal. He's got a certain status, and it's not just easy to just shift these lads out. You know, it's not just a simple case of you click your fingers and it's a very straightforward deal. As much as there'll be a certain level of interest in them. Yeah, they're the slightly tougher decisions, and then there's the older lads you mentioned who, you know, Matic is looking a bit laboured these days, and the likes of Rojo and people like that, they need to move and make room in the squad for better players.
Yeah, so I mean, you just keep Ashley Young until as a squad player, though.
Yeah, well, I think Young is there's a natural evolution that's going to come anyway. He's 33. Yeah, you know, so he's going to go. Fellaini has his. He's always a sort of a popular whipping boy sort of figure, but again, it depends. We're assuming that the next manager is going to have a style and that's going to be a little bit more easy on the eye and in keeping with.
And so if Antonio Conte comes in, you can see most of these players staying, except maybe so Sanchez probably is done, but everybody else will fit into an Antonio Conte hard-working team with a.
Antonio Conte would be a disastrous appointment, no?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Like, I can see why you would do it as a short-term fix, but that's what he is. So say you talk about Paul Pogba and the current situation with Jose Mourinho. We don't know what exactly Paul Pogba's motivation is. Has he stopped sort of giving his all for Manchester United because of his relationship with Jose Mourinho. Maybe. The last player I can think of who did something like that was Eden Hazard under Antonio Conte.
Yeah.
So do Manchester United really want to make that same mistake? Like, and I know it's kind of like putting your hands up and saying, well,
Didn't they work together at Juve? Did they work together at Juve?
Conte and Pogba would have been, yeah. He would have been his last Juventus manager, right?
Yeah.
So, like, that is obviously the big counterpoint, to be fair. So I just think it's too similar a sort of dressing room. I don't want to use the word dictatorship, but Conte and Mourinho both like to own a dressing room. And maybe Manchester United need to accept that player power is going to be the biggest thorn on their side unless they accept it. I don't know.
Well, I don't know. It does seem like it's going to be Pochettino, though, right? I mean, I know that there's that. I know you've been going through the headlines, and Spurs will fight to keep him and so on. But Spurs are in a position where, I mean, they've given a certain amount of support over a period of time, but not enough to fend off the attraction of this gig. And I think Pochettino has a case for going and really. Okay, maybe they can suddenly throw a shed load of cash at Pochettino to say, well, actually, you know, new stadium's coming. Eventually, and we'll give you what you want. But I mean, Pochettino is a fit, particularly his reputation of even working with younger players and how he's developed players during his time at all the jobs that he's done.
Yeah.
He does tick so many of the boxes, and you would think this all-powerful club still still has this attractive commercial wing which is running along effectively enough in its own way. They've got the power surely to go and get him. And in that case,
so
you would imagine he'd be a bit more progressive in terms of how he would regenerate the dressing room.
There's no sense yet that I have that he has been the transfer mastermind at anywhere he's been in England. So, it seems like somebody else was buying and scouting the players
someone with
at Southampton.
Yeah.
And obviously, they just bought nobody at Spurs this summer. So you also need somebody or a system in place that is buying players that suit the style of play, and a manager who'll play that style of play that suits the players that you're buying. At the moment, they've nothing.
This is the point that Andy Mitten made last night about this agent, wasn't it, who went to Manchester United and Man City in the same visit, effectively. And, City were sitting down, planning 12 to 18 months ahead, 24 months ahead almost in terms of signing players for a vision. And even you've seen Gavin Bazunu from Shamrock Rovers here going to City, and it sounds like it's all very impressive in terms of the vision. It's always part of this plan. Whereas sort of Manchester United are almost freestyling this a bit, which is, again, and the blame game there then, it runs deeper than one manager at one point, and it even goes all the way back to Ferguson almost, and the sort of,
I think
his control was such that once he left, everything needed to be...
And so the point about that, so Pochettino comes in and improves everybody who's already there, but maybe he's not a brilliant transfer mind. Maybe he is, right? Who knows?
He's probably the type of manager who's going to be open to a structure because he's used to working in tandem with someone.
A fair point.
Someone else, Who's
putting that structure in place? It's the guys who have just bought this hodgepodge of random players who are like, oh, that guy's good, that guy's good, that guy's good.
That's true.
Oh, we can afford him. He's available for free. Let's pay him $500,000 a year or a week. What could possibly go wrong?
I reckon Gary Neville would give it a bash, wouldn't he? You think he's angling away at that for a while?
Do you think?
They'd eventually just give the class of 92 the keys to the place.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what, it takes them off the media.
It would be pretty easy, wouldn't it?
Yeah, that removes a very significant tranche of
You just put them, so then the Glazers can come to matches and sit behind them, Operation Human Shield.
Yeah, they can have their hotel and everything nearby as well, and then it goes from there.
I mean,
solves a lot of problems in one fell swoop.
I think there's a very good chance that some part of that happens. That Solskjaer is like a little bit of a dip in can we just see if having somebody like this act as our human shield for a week or two, or for 5 weeks or 3 months?
I'd say within 10 years, that's very plausible. Is it plausible within 18 months? Maybe, maybe that. I think there's no doubt that's what they're angling towards longer term,
Yeah, I mean, I think as well that there was a good point made this morning that if you make good football decisions, you're still going to make loads of money. Getting the football decisions bad, or getting them wrong and making bad football decisions over a period of time will eventually diminish your ability to make money. So you need to get this right.
Oh, that's it.
The team can't continue to be crap.
Yeah, even for all the Mourinho debate over when he was going to go. It was just starting to chip away at things, and you saw yesterday then investors responding. To and that's
share prices up.
They are the factors that really drove the decision in the end as much as anything.
The MLS official website's blog has been Jose Mourinho's out at Man United. Should MLS clubs make a move? I love this. Jose Mourinho, tittle title for the MLS blog.
From the official MLS blog, is it? Yeah.
MLSsoccer.com.
I'd say that'd be Mourinho in around 8 to 10 years.
I mean, maybe LA Galaxy is perfect.
It's going to be linked with the Ireland manager's job at some stage in 10, in 10, 15 years' time. We'll have gone to whatever end of the cycle we get to. We decide what we need is another trap, another glamour figure. So that's coming.
Or doesn't Jose Mourinho hate the United States of America? Like all he did was complain over there before.
No, but LA is different, and like that was like
Michigan or somewhere was that?
No, but he was in LA in the summer though, wasn't it? I think he was in LA. Well, LA Galaxy are out. New York maybe. One of the New York teams maybe. But I think
it's cold in the winter.
Yeah.
Or we like you talk about Manchester United reunions. Go to that new Miami team that David Beckham is so steeped in.
Yeah.
Take the class of '92 over there and get Miami going.
We'll get Robbie Keane over there to manage in the MLS as well, and he could give the whole how many MLS Cups have you won? 3, more than the rest of you put together. That could be his angle. That could come in time.